Hey, hey. So today is July 23rd, which means the Mercury retrograde is its last day. Please don't forget the shadow lasts for a little longer. So they say till August 6th. I give it a couple days and I feel a little bit better. This week I've been feeling a bit drained and tired and just kind of pondering. And it's funny because I was listening to a podcast yesterday and there was a guy there who was talking about the buckets of life and how we have to consider what friends we keep around, what family things, things that family do to drive you nuts and make you crazy. He was talking about, how you deal with money, whether it's how you spend it, how you make it, how you, leak it in ways that you don't really think about. And then, he was talking about sexual partners and, who you allow into your intimacy space and, what that means and what kind of people they are, and just reevaluating those buckets of life, which was very like, ugh, you didn't have to go there with it. So I did a bit of journaling last night about it, of course, and I probably still have some things that I'm thinking about that I'm trying to just kind of think through and disseminate. And it's a lot when we're all going through these crazy changes and life is very, I don't want to say different because it's like changing little by little, but it's also, I feel like it's happening to all of us in various ways for various reasons. I think all leading us towards whatever that true space is, especially like in my age group. And a lot of women are going through it, right now I have friends going through divorce or separation or considering it, or, women who are changing careers, careers that are transforming right before their eyes. And it feels very unsettling. I think for a lot of people, I think for creative people, it's a little bit less unsettling just because in a creative life, that's kind of how it's all set up. And you kind of, go from project to project or, kind of make pivots along the way. But I think that Mercury retrograde has not been kind. And normally it's not something that I really think about when people are like, oh, it's Mercury retrograde. I'm generally pretty absolved from the effects. But I feel like the last couple, I've really been kind of taken through that ringer. And it's really, during retrograde time, it's a lot of thinking about things that return, things that are from the past that you're trying to resolve, things that you need to think through, people trying to return, relationships trying to resurface. And a lot of it takes mental and emotional energy that I don't think that we think about. Like when I talk about being exhausted, I think a lot of that is mental exhaustion. And it never becomes apparent until it becomes apparent. Like when you're physically tired, you go to sleep. When you're mentally tired, sometimes it's weeks before you realize how mentally exhausted you are, whether it's, during work hours when you're thinking through things and trying to consider what's next. And today, something came up that was really interesting to me, and how the North and South Node are now moving into North Node in Aquarius and South Node in Leo. And in my chart, first, the North Node is what you're supposed to be moving towards, and your South Node is what you're supposed to be letting go of. My North Node is Scorpio, my South Node is Taurus. But in this case, with the whole collective moving into new nodes for the next 18 months, it's a lot about embracing authenticity on the Aquarius side and what the bigger picture is. And in the Leo South Node, and what's supposed to be the thing that we're letting go is being getting those being in the spotlight, or the things that you've been known for, letting go of those things, because now it's about being, self-acceptance, and being the one who gives you the, like, you know what, no matter what it looks like, this is what I'm doing. And I feel like I've been going through it for quite a long time right now, which is why I'm even talking on TikTok. But I think that, with self, giving yourself the okay to be who you are, I think is a difficult thing, but I see a lot more people doing it. So I know that it's something that's moving through the ether, and it's happening to more of us than not. But when I say go back to Mercury retrograde, think through all of those things from the past that are trying to resurface, or that have taught you lessons, or that you're supposed to be considering at this point. I think it's time to kind of work through those things so that we can move into the more authentic area of our lives, of ourselves, of the expansion that's happening for, I feel like, more of us than realize is happening for us. And so I feel like that's my word for today. And I feel like because I've been in such a heavy time, I'm going to maybe do a story time next time. But I definitely wanted to share that because I think that it's something that we're all going through, and whether you know it or not, it's affecting you in a way. And so just my word for today, and what I'm thinking about in the end of this Mercury retrograde and shadow period, and this new North Node cycle for the next 18 months. Yeah, so that's my word.